I've been waiting for an hour. When am I going to see a doctor?
Excuse me! Aggressive behavior toward healthcare workers is a felony.
Episode 6 shines such a powerful light on the nurses, their emotional labor, their rituals, what they do after a patient dies.
Wipe him down with towels, then we'll roll him on his side. Clean his back, stuff the sheet under him. Roll him the other way, pull out the sheet, and repeat. Just follow my lead.
As both the director of that episode and as the son of a nurse, what felt most important to you about centering an hour on what we typically don't see?
It was an homage to that other workforce that exists that's almost more important in a hospital setting. Nurses do that real hands-on work. They're the ones that are holding the hands and bringing the blankets and cleaning the bodies and wiping the They do the dirty work, and they do it tirelessly, and they do it with great nobility, and they confer dignity on the patients and while they do it. And it's a really noble profession. I cannot tell you how disappointed I was to hear recently that profession was stripped of its professional status by saying that that's no longer a professional degree. I think that is insane. Made my mother cry. And so to get to do an episode where we highlight those unbelievable palliative skills and focus the episode on them in a way that we usually focus on the physicians was really important and really gratifying for me, and gratifying for all those actors who got to step up a little bit more and carry a little bit more of the dramatic load. And I think it'll be really fun for viewers, especially for nurses, to watch and be able to say to their families the way the doctors are being able to say to their families, that's what I do for a living.
Ano nangyari?
Louie,
Patay?
I'm gonna go clean him up.
I'll help.
That was an early decision. Really wanted to do an episode that leaned in on the nurses. I felt that traditionally in the medical shows, the nurses sometimes, unless it was a nurse-centric show, were always sort of secondary or tertiary characters. And the reality is, they literally run the ER.
Always listen to the nurses. They run the ER. We just try and stay out of their way.
So we really, with Katherine's character, Dana, and then we introduced a new nurse this year, a young recent graduate, named Emma, played by Letitia. It was time to give the nurses some due and just also see what the ER looks like from their perspective.
Time will tell if I'm cut out for this.
Well, when in doubt, stick with her, kid.
She scares me.
Like you brought up, what is the cost to them in terms of the emotional toll it takes?
They ever arrest that guy who punched you?
Yeah.
In episode 6, we find out that Dana ultimately did not press charges against Doug Driscoll.
Wouldn't know if I want to press charges, but I don't want to go through all that.
How did you interpret that choice for her emotionally or psychologically?
I think the not pressing charges, I can understand how that could be a good idea, thinking, I just want to move on with my life. I don't want to be further involved with this person. Mm-hmm. But I also think that sometimes when an injustice has been done towards us and there's no relief from that injustice, it can fester and it can live and it can still be with us decades later. And I think it's still reeling for Dana. And I think we'll see stories that move forward where maybe there are patients that could press charges against someone, or to tease the storyline, or just Dana's hypervigilance when it comes to Emma's protection is still all part of that. I think not pressing charges. I think, there's still just some grief there. There's just still a lot of grief. I think on some level, Dana is not able to turn the care onto herself.
Why do you keep coming back?
Why don't you, just finish up here and then go help Perla for a bit.
In that episode, Emma asks Dana why she keeps coming back.
Right.
And Dana doesn't give her an answer.
Right.
I feel like she might have had one before the pandemic or before she was attacked last year, but she doesn't have one right now.
Right.
Why do you think she can't answer that question?
I don't think she knows the answer to it. I think that she came back because this is where she has her sense of purpose, where she finds meaning in her life, where she knows that she's useful and important in a way that really matters in people's life, right? When they're in their worst days, having their largest traumas for themselves or for a family member. And so that's really hard to turn away from. But I think because of everything that she's gone through, I think she's not really sure. I think when Emma asks her that, I don't think she knows the answer to it. I think it affronts her, and I think it festers with her throughout the day. And I think it's kind of the question for Dana for the whole season.
First day back, I get kicked in the one dead, one septic bounce back.
Both of those not your fault.
Episode 6 is a big one for both of you. There's the tragic irony of Louie being Langdon's first loss back. Then you have Dana guiding Emma through the unseen work that nurses do. And amid that shared loss, Langdon and Dana have a moment about what they each lost last season and what it means for each of them to be back.
Thought I was done, really did, but got bored out, so only lasted a few weeks. You?
What did this episode mean to each of you, and what resonated most in that particular hour?
Two things, I think. For me, just when they talked about the frequent flyers, the patients that they can be a real pain in the ass, but when they're gone, it's like a wound in the forest. There was a nurse that I shadowed down at County, and she had a frequent flyer, and she said to me, "Oh, he's gonna die soon." And it was because he'd lost so much weight, and she knew him. She'd known him for a long time, and this particular nurse said that she would only do the kind of work that she does at a county hospital. So basically, she's only willing to put herself on the line for people that really need her. Mm-hmm. So I really felt that, and I loved that I was able to portray something that I had seen in a real-life nurse, this kind of care for the unhoused. So that was really meaningful to me. But also, I'd love to return to the kitchen with Patrick and get to play out that scene.
I lied to myself, and I lied to you. I'm really sorry.
You can check me off your list, kid. We're good.
It was interesting to do a scene with characters that are changed from where we saw them in episode 15, right? And now we're back, and we're just, neither of us is the same. And so there's tension and conflict in that scene because of that. So it's exciting because it's new territory. Not to do that same scene again, to do it in a new way.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun working on that scene, and I think Noah directed that episode, and it was really amazing because you're right, this relationship worked, this Langdon Dana relationship worked, and it was something that was dependable for both of us, and it was very dependable for Langdon for a long time. I think Dana has taken care of Langdon and been patient with Langdon and helped Langdon grow up and grow into this ER, and I think she's somebody that Langdon has long counted on and maybe taken for granted. And I think coming back in here in this kitchen in season 2 and knowing that I am different and I need comfort in this way, and then I come into this room and I see Dana anew, and I realize, oh, actually, this person is not just here to take care of me, but this person has a reality of their own and a struggle of their own, and maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention to the needs of others because I have needed so much care myself. And I think you see in the course of that scene, you see this relationship become fundamentally reframed, which is very exciting to figure out in real time.
Starting your sabbatical early?
I know somebody who could really use a drink right now.
In the hospital?
As a parting gift.
I was struck by Robbie wanting to bring Louie that beer. He knew Louie was an addict, but he also understood how much Louie had lost. It's a really compassionate instinct, but he's not able to extend that same grace to Langdon. Why do you think Robbie is so reluctant to have that conversation with him?
That beer came from a very specific anecdote. There was a doctor named Dr. Paul Farmer who they wrote a book called, Tracy Kidder wrote a book called Mountains Beyond Mountains about. He was a really significant figure. He worked in Massachusetts, but did a lot of relief work in Africa with AIDS patients. And he was the kind of physician who would have brought that alcoholic patient a beer because it's got a lot of calories in it. It would stave off the DTs. He needs it. It's the decent thing to do. It's not going to hurt him, but it's that kind of unorthodox approach that I thought that I want to borrow some of that for Robbie. So that came from a specific place. To answer the flip side question, why wouldn't you extend that same grace to someone like Langdon? That's complicated. And that's the stuff we work through over the course of the season. You want to believe in the beginning that it's, a sense of betrayal and dishonesty that's at root there. And then you get a sense that it might be a little bit of tough love. Like, don't come back here and think that everything's going to be hunky-dory. You kind of have to earn your keep again. Then there's another aspect of, 20% of the people that come back relapse, Are you going to be that 1 in 5? And then part of it is, you didn't fail me, I failed you. I'm the teacher, you're the student. This happened under my watch. I was supposed to be looking out for you. So how does this reflect on me ultimately? And all of that complexity, in addition to the fact that Langdon is now coming back from having walked the therapeutic road. He's humbled himself, he's faced his demons, and he's come back to rebuild his life, none of which Robbie's done yet. So that's kryptonite to Superman. Until Robbie's willing to admit that he could use a dose of kryptonite, he doesn't want everything to do with it.